Hello everyone, I'm Safiya Fatima and I'm doing my second year in Bachelor of Computer Science Engineering in CEG, Anna University. On behalf of the Guindy Times, the official campus magazine of CEG, SAT and SAP, I present to you the competitive exam series, an initiative which aims at throwing light on the questions that aspirants of various different competitive exams may have. Today we have with us GMAT topper Ms. Keerthana. So Keerthana, please tell us, what is the secret of your success in the GMAT examination?
That's definitely a tough question. I feel like everyone definitely has their own kind of approach to tackling different kinds of competitive exams. I think what really helped me be successful with the GMAT is just understanding that each test is structured a little differently. So spending the first, I want to say the first steps into, preparation of taking a few of those mock exams to identify which areas really needed work and which ones were, slightly more developed than others. For me personally, it was surprisingly the language section. And if I had just started blindly, I would have assumed that the quant section would have been harder for me. But definitely that helped me understand where I needed to continue to improve. And that helped me really fine tune where I needed to go from there. So having understood where my strengths and weaknesses were, I was able to identify which books did I need, where did I need to focus my efforts, and just go from there. But yeah, I would say that making sure that you take the diagnostic test in the beginning, no matter what competitive exam and no matter where you think you might be strong, is definitely a good starting point, and that can help set the pace for the rest of your preparation.
Thank you. That was truly insightful. Also, is there any incident in your life that prompted or motivated you to decide on joining business school?
I think that's definitely a good question. It's definitely hard to look back, especially when you're in the moment and, identify what's the next best step to ideally make you happy in life. Ever since I was young, I've been told that I'm really good at, programming. I'm really good at math, all the, typical engineering qualities, which is where which is exactly how I ended up doing computer science engineering at CEG. But I think deep down, I always knew that that wasn't my forte. I always loved talking to people, being a part of the Guindy Times especially, and just doing all the extracurricular activities. I was an event organizer for Kshetra. I was also one for TechnoFest. I did basically everything that was available in CEG, and I think just really understanding that in my third and fourth year, as I was part of Guindy Times and taking on more of those organizational roles, I was really in my element, and I was the best version of myself, the version of myself that I wanted to see every day in the future was really when I was doing management related things, which really prompted me to realize that yes, I am good at engineering, but it's ideally management that makes me happy. So it might be a slightly different path, but that is ideally what I wanted to do, which really prompted me to find schools that matched my personality and find schools that, cater to the programs that I wanted.
That was really heart-touching, Keerthana. So where are you pursuing or planning to pursue your MBA from?
So I actually finished my master's in management, I want to say last year. So the interesting thing about that is I know the typical path is to be able to do an MBA. I know a lot of people work super hard to crack the CAT, crack various, competitive exams within India. I did not feel that I could crack that. And I also wasn't sure if I wanted to go to a competitive, an extremely competitive school like IIM. I wanted a fresh change of pace, which is why I looked abroad. I ultimately did my master's in management at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. It's basically a one-year program. So the first year of an MBA is condensed into what is called a Master's of Management. And since it's still new in the US, this isn't particularly widely accepted yet. But since it is all the foundation or the first year of an MBA, I could ideally go after a couple of years apply for an MBA program and just do the second half of the year because I've already completed the syllabus for the first year. But yeah, long story short, I did not do an MBA. I did a master's in management at Duke University's Duke School of Business.
Thank you. So, when did you start preparing for GMAT?
So I started preparing July, July of my fourth year. I think I made the decision to start preparing for GMAT and really apply for higher studies in July. And this is typically when like placements start on campus also. So it was a tough decision because everyone was doing placements. Everyone was like preparing for GRE or, CAT. And I didn't know anyone else who was doing GMAT at the time. So I really decided in July, and then it was definitely a struggle to be able to juggle both placements because I did need a backup option, but also, work hard and prepare for the GMAT knowing that I wasn't going to get much help from anyone else because no one had really traveled down that path quite yet, or at least I wasn't aware.
That seems like really a challenge. So, how much time do you think a college going student must devote towards preparation for the exam?
Um, I mean, ideally, it depends person to person. Everyone has their own timeline and their own, like, level of understanding and like requirement for preparation. I would say a good amount to invest is, I would say maybe at least an hour a day, and then twice or thrice a week during the weekdays to be able to do 2 or 3 hours in the evening will, really help you. And I also think that it's super important to be able to like develop it as a routine of doing at least an hour, like dedicating yourself to, you know, doing a minimum amount of preparation per day. It doesn't need to be like a lot, but it's about putting in that quality time regularly so you get used to it and you form the habit of it.
All right, so consistency it is. So, did you join any coaching classes for GMAT, and how was the experience?
I did not join coaching classes because I guess you could call it peer pressure, but I joined coaching classes for CAT and I wasn't particularly satisfied with how the coaching was. Um, it just felt very like the whole math education kind of experience, which wasn't helping me because my areas of weakness were a little different from the entire class's areas of weaknesses. So it just didn't feel to cater to me. I did self preparation. And I guess this ties back to the point that if you take a diagnostic test in the beginning and like take the time to invest and identify what you need to prepare into, then you'll be able to find the right resources. For example, I had some trouble with logical reasoning, so I worked with like a book called Power Score, which is it was actually really great. If you're listening to this and you want to do a GMAT, then I would highly recommend Power Score. And then quants was like, I mean, being engineers, quants is never going to be too tricky. So I just like used a regular website called the GMAT Club, and they post like easy, medium, and hard questions every single day, and that became part of my like half an hour preparation every day. So a lot of it was just you know self preparation, and that half an hour every day, like a good amount of it was used to like find out which websites would be able to help me because I mean, especially with COVID, we're in like a situation where there's no dearth of online assets. So if not now, I'm not sure when else would be a better time for you to like invest in looking up what's available out there.
That was really informative, Keerthana. So, what were your strong points which enabled you to achieve success?
I would say the important thing with like competitive exams, especially like GMAT, which progressively gets harder with every right question that you answer, is being able to develop a sense of discipline because it's not just about cracking questions, and it's not just about um, you know, it's not just about like getting every single answer right, because there also comes into this element of, oh well, I answered this question right, I'm 100% sure of that, and then the next question, if it seems easier than the last one, then you start doubting yourself, thinking, well, did I really answer the last one right? And then it becomes a mind game at that point. So I would say that it's easy to develop the skills required to crack like the quant section or the verbal reasoning or any of the sections in the test. But what really makes or breaks a candidate, in my opinion, is having that sense of discipline and just like having that mental focus to not get in your head in the moment. Because I've seen a lot of candidates, ultimately crack because they haven't been able to take that step back and just focus on the task at hand and not like overcomplicate things.
All right. So, which sections would you consider yourself to be weak at then? And what was your strategy on overcoming them?
Oh man, this is bringing up a lot of bad memories. I would say, I hate to admit it, but my weak section was definitely like critical reasoning, the logical reasoning sections. The tricky thing is like again, it ties back to that whole mental game of like, yes, I want to get each one right, and then like, well, is this really right? And I feel like with quants and with verbal, you can, you know, if not black and white, it's pretty clear cut of like what the answer is. But with logical reasoning and critical reasoning, it's just extremely difficult. I would say that it's important to find patterns, and that really helped me. As I practiced, I would devote more time towards that section. And as I continue to practice, I usually maintain a log of like important things that I've learned or tactics that I'm developing or like, hypotheses, for lack of a better word, of why I felt that I was able to answer that question right. Like, and then try to develop a framework for myself. And just having that framework for like different types of questions really helped me like analyze how I could better answer these questions and how I can get faster at it. Because while it is answering questions right, I mean, ultimately there is a time component. So being able to understand what methodology works for you and how fast you can implement that is definitely something that helped me, as well as like maintaining a logbook to see like, okay, today I did 10 questions on logical reasoning. This is the framework that I applied. Well, how well did it work? And then like keeping track as the days progress to see how I'm developing individually and how this framework is working for me.
All right. So that was really informative, Keerthana. So apart from that, apart from the Power Score book you mentioned, which other books did you study from?
Um, I used PowerScore. I used Kaplan as just like a everyday exercise for the verbal sections. Um, I'm trying to remember. I know that PowerScore has a really good line. I used the official GMAT Club guide for quants, and then I really heavily relied on the GMAT Club website. It is an amazing resource. This also ties back to what I was saying about frameworks. If you don't want to develop it on your own, this website has like literally thousands of people who have taken the GMAT and who have already thought about this and like have different structures and guides, and it's amazing, honestly. That was like my go-to for everything. Um, Lesser known fact is that if you go to the library in CEG, they actually have a separate section with pretty good GMAT guides that you can use for like just practice. They may not be up to date, but I feel like the foundation of questions that you have with the GMAT are going to be the same year over year. There might be slight changes, but the base is going to be the same. So I would recommend that if you don't want to invest in books, that's perfectly fine. It's super costly. That's not something you need to be investing in right now. So I would just recommend finding the PDF online, which I feel like all of our students are pros at because you have to do it with textbooks. But finding the PDF online, using the free textbooks that we have in the college, as well as definitely leveraging the GMAT Club website would be a good starting points.
All right. Also, how many attempts of GMAT did you give?
I gave one single attempt because honestly, the exam's pretty costly. I just I didn't know if I wanted to be spending that much on a test. I want to say it's like 200, 100 or $200, which is not an easy amount to to procure, which is like, again, where the factor of like having that discipline and having that focus and like focusing on like giving one attempt is important in my eye. One thing that I do want to like share is that I did register for my GMAT in August and I started preparing in July, and that put like a lot of stress on myself to like do placements, to, you know, literally do everything, which was a lot of stress on me. And I could have taken the test in August, but I was sure I wouldn't do well. So I think like at that point I had already sunk the money into doing it. So just like taking a step back and like understanding, okay, I'm not exactly where I want to be. I've already put the money down, but do I want to take this test twice, or do I want to put myself in a better mental space? Do I want to put myself like set myself up for success and potentially like postpone the exam? And I think a lot of people sometimes overlook the fact that postponing is actually an option. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you have your GMAT coming up, and if you're feeling stressed about this, know that it's okay. Everyone has different timelines. It's completely okay. Don't feel pressurized to like take the test just because you've registered. If you're not ready, feel free to postpone it. Really, that would be like my strongest recommendation.
That was really informative, Keerthana. So also, which universities did you report your scores to?
Um, I reported my scores to um, I did Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. I did Harvard, and then I did Yale. I did Harvard and Yale because I wanted to do their STEP MBA programs, or their deferred MBAs. So with Harvard, they have I want to say 2+2. So you get the admit, you work for 2 years, and then you go back and you do your MBA for 2 years. And then Yale's Silver Scholar program is you do 1 year of an MBA, go out for like an internship or work for a year, and then you do the next one. So this was still early in like my college planning phase, but those were the 3 universities that I was pretty sure of, so I sent it out to those 3.
All right, moving forward. Had you not scored well, exceptionally well in the exam, what would have been your reaction? Did you have any alternate career plans?
Um, I am, for the most part, not a major risk taker. I did have a job offer in hand, just as like a safety net. But if I hadn't have scored well, I probably would have like definitely taken another attempt, or like maybe even taken a stab at GRE, because most business schools accept GRE and GMAT. So I definitely would have still like taken another attempt at the GMAT, because I was very sure that that's the path that I wanted to follow. So while I did have like the safety net of like a good placement offer, I was just very sure that there was nothing else that I wanted to be doing with my life.
All right. So did you have any internship offers during your third year of engineering?
Yes, I had an internship with a company called Kronos. They recruited, I want to say, 2 people between MIT and CEG. But I did my 2.5 months. It was in Chennai, and the highlight here was that I was very grateful to have an internship offer. But I think like by working and like by doing an internship in like my core field, I kind of realized that this is exactly what I don't want to be doing with my life. So for better or for worse, that internship was not a great experience because I didn't like the work, but also good because it helped me realize that, it helped me eliminate some more options and helped me really identify that this is what I want to be doing.
That's really great. Also, being an alumnus from Anna University, in what ways do you think the institution has contributed to your success?
Oh, that is an amazing question. I'm actually super glad that you asked. I would say that, like, this is a stretch. I know that, you know, maybe it may come off as cheesy, but honestly, I would not be half the person that I am without coming to CEG. Fun fact is that my dad and my brother and like a couple of other members from my father's side all studied at Anna University. So they were very gung-ho on me going to the same place. I was not, but I think looking back, definitely feel like coming here was the right choice because ideally at CEG you can be whatever kind of a person you want. If you want to be academic focused, that's cool. There are going to be like-minded peers that you're going to find who are going to help you like grow in that path. If you want to do research, there are going to be people there. If you want to, explore passion in music and arts, you definitely have that option there. And like, if you're just not sure, there are so many options, and the only person who's limiting yourself is you, because there's never going to be anything to stop you. You want to work with the campus magazine? Yeah, sure, join the Gindi Times. Do you want to like see how well, you can manage other people, organize an event? If you just love being creative, there are so many different opportunities, and I feel like a lot of colleges just don't offer that breadth of opportunities. And I feel that with CEG, I truly got to like explore a lot of like different opportunities. I did a research project, realized I didn't like that. Did an internship, realized that I didn't like that either. Um, I worked with finances as well, didn't like that. And then I realized that through like organizing events and like working with the Gindi Times and like figuring out, well, cool, what do people want to see? I realized that I kept asking myself that every day, and every time I asked myself, I felt more excited. So it was ultimately because like there are these breadth of activities that it helped me rule out possibilities and like really like have enough resources to look inside and like say, well, Keerthana, what makes you happy at the end of the day?
I'm really glad you liked your CEG days. So, how did your parents, family, and friends contribute to your success?
Um, I would definitely say that without my mom, it wouldn't have been possible at all. Um, I think like my mom is a very firm believer of like if you have dreams and if you have passions, then you should never live life with like that regret, and that you should pursue it with your whole heart. Um, so she was pretty sad about me, like, or at least the thought of me going to the US, but she never once like, ever held me back or ever said anything. She would always say, Kanna, do whatever makes you happy. If you like, don't live with that regret. So I would say like that positive motivation and like overall just like being there, like as mothers do, is really important. That definitely pushed me forward. Um, I would say my dad and my brother played the devil's advocate and like were really critical of my choices and like came and like made sure that I was making all the right decisions and I was doing the research. And of course, like friends being friends, they support you like through everything. Special shout out to Madhumita and Karthik Kumar because both of them helped me polish my essays and they looked at it again and again and again. So I definitely like wouldn't have made it all the way to B school without them.
That was really loving. Also, lastly, do you have any tips and tricks for your juniors as well as fellow aspirants who might be watching?
Yeah, I would say like doing competitive exams is a long process. It puts you through a lot. So definitely be forgiving of yourself and know that like you are literally trying the best that you can. It's for your future, so there's no way that you're not trying your best. Um, so yeah, like be kind to yourself through the process. It's going to take a while. It's going to be stressful. There's going to be peer pressure, but know that you're doing the best for yourself. Um, Second, I would say lean on the people around you. Um, you never know where a new idea is going to come from or like, where support's going to come from. And three, keep looking out. Like I would definitely say keep looking for stuff online. You always find the weirdest resources in the weirdest places, but that can literally make or break you. So make sure that you look around for, different options. Don't go down like the mainstream path. Like if everyone's doing coaching classes doesn't mean it's going to work for you as well. So yeah, explore your options and make sure that you're taking note of like the things that are working so that you have something to look back on and say, oh, well, this method worked. Don't just say that, yeah, I'm going to remember this. I'm not going to write it down. You definitely need to be writing whatever you're thinking down.
That was really insightful, Keerthana. Thank you so much for your time and valuable input. It was really a pleasure to interview you. On behalf of the Gindi Times, I wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors.